This just in. The Soviet Union has collapsed and the Cold War is over. The falling of the Soviet Union started in 1953 with the death of Stalin.
This marked the beginning of the end of the Cold War. We now have exclusive footage from the funeral of Joseph Stalin.
Now we're going to Bobby Gonzalez live at the funeral.
Here lies the dead Soviet leader, Joseph Stalin. This could lead to big change for the Soviet Union.
After Stalin's death, Nikita Khrushchev takes over and starts a policy of de-Stalinization. He is trying to erase all traces of Stalin from Russia.
This includes riots and tearing down of Stalin statues all over the Soviet Union. Here's footage from a riot in Stalingrad where one of his statues is being taken down now. Crazy here in Stalingrad. They're tearing down statues everywhere. Here, look at this man right here. This is tragic. Look at what the Soviet Union has come to. We now go to commercial break.
We now have words from our special sponsor.
Bob, you called me Daddy. Stay off drugs, kids. Now back to the show. This policy of de-Stalinization led to revolts in Czechoslovakia and Hungary. In Budapest, Hungary, they revolted and held their own free elections and made their own government.
The Soviet government responded with military forces, which put down the revolt. In Czechoslovakia, they loosened censorship, but the Russians soon destroyed this government. Khrushchev lost prestige due to the Cuban Missile Crisis, and then was removed from power and replaced with Brezhnev. He ended de-Stalinization and soon tightened censorship and totalitarian rule in the Soviet Union and all satellite countries.
We now have an exclusive interview with JFK following the Cuban Missile Crisis.
We're going.
Jonathan, may I call you Johnny?
Yes, you may.
What was your stance on the Cuban Missile Crisis?
I thought that there was too much of a threat from the Soviets having nuclear weapons on Cuba, so I mobilized the troops to the southeast of the U.S. and set up blockades to Cuba. I was well prepared to attack if Cuba did.
Excellent. Were you ever thinking about firing a nuclear weapon before the Soviets?
No, I didn't want to provoke the Soviets to fire back. It could have caused a nuclear war between us, and that is the last thing I wanted.
Were you ever afraid of a nuclear war breaking out?
Yes, we were already afraid of a war breaking out between the Soviets and the U.S. before the Cuban Missile Crisis. Once the Soviets had nuclear weapons on Cuba, we knew we had to make all of the necessary preparations for war.
And do you think another situation like this could happen in the future?
Yes, I feel that the only way we can avoid nuclear war is to have our countries agree to reduce our nuclear arms.
Thank you, Johnny.
No problem, no.
Once Richard Nixon came to power, he began a policy of détente, which lowered tensions between the U.S. and the Soviet Union.
Following the threat of nuclear war from the Cuban Missile Crisis, Nixon wanted to reduce countries' nuclear arms. The U.S. and Soviets signed the SALT I and SALT II agreements. These limited the number of nuclear missiles each country could have. We now have footage from the signing of the SALT II agreement.
Shake hands. Coming this fall, The Enforcer, starring Mr. Pod.
Bobby, Berg, what are you doing? Get back to class. Yeah, that's right.
Someone's sleeping in his class. What will he do?
Berg, wake up.
When Reagan took over in 1981, he was openly extremely anti-communist. He even referred to the Soviet Union as the evil empire.
He ended the policy of détente of the 1970s and started to build up the U.S. military again. He would also go on to end the SALT II agreement and stop negotiating with the Soviet Union.
This agreement is horrible. This just in. The Soviet Union has collapsed and the Cold War is over. falling of the coal.
Slower.
Falling of the.
Alright, just stop it.
Just stop it.
Now we go to Bobby Gonzalez at Joseph Stalin's funeral.
How you doing? Realize the dead Soviet leader, Joseph Stalin. This could lead to big change for the Soviet Union.
Mr. Pod.
I can't see anything. Dude, we need to cut out eye holes.
Damn it.
Cut eye holes.
Berg is too good. Oh!
Alright, can't read that.
Alright, stop it.
Yo, dude, we're good. How do I end this?
We're good?
Yeah,
it's so
great. No,
We're putting that in the video.
no, this is the video.
Here.
The tripod's a little messed up.
Alright.